Alright, so this is going to be a lot simpler than our usual 40K terrain. What I'm going to do is sort of arrange them in a kind of a tight ring like this, and stagger them up, just like sort of rudimentary battlements or something like this. So I'm going to use my Elmer's glue here again. You know, not the strongest of glues, but it should do alright. I'll probably squirt a little super glue in between here when bonding the rocks to the rocks, but when bonding the rocks to the cardboard, I'm definitely going to use the Elmer's glue, because super glue just doesn't hack it in that situation. And so what we're going to end up doing is gluing these in place, trimming the cardboard so it's not on a square here. It'll be more round like, you know, every other piece of terrain I've shown you guys. Excuse me. Probably put some spackle and sand like we have on the others. On this video, I'm not going to go into detail quite so much, repeating myself, especially on stuff I've already shown you how to do in other videos, like the spackling and the sand and all that. Although I am going to try and include more footage of me actually doing this stuff instead of quick cuts to the finished product. So I started gluing these lava rocks here in place. I also found a piece of terrain I made way back in the day. Let me see. Oh, maybe I lost it now.
Hey,
oh, here it is. Yeah, I am recording. I have a guest here with us. Here's Sean.
Hey guys. I love the Grimdark.
Sean loves the Grimdark. So here's something I did with basically the same kind of lava rocks where I dry brushed them, and they came out looking really cool. I made this like way back in the day when 3rd edition Warhammer first came out, because you can see the broken, crappy plastic tree that came with the 3rd edition starter kit. I made this on the back of a box of campfire candy of cream smooth peppermint patties. So I'm just going to Elmer's glue these into place, and then spackle the surface and put some ballast on and paint it. So now we're going to partake in what should be sort of viewed as standard practice now. Whenever we're using cardboard as a base, we want to give it a nice, you know, earthly texture. So we're going to, excuse me, spread some spackle around. Make sure we cover all the ground surface area. Oops, sorry. We'll cover up around here. Alright. So now we want to make sure all the streaks are going the right way out so it doesn't look like, you know, someone was finger painting the sand on. Give it a nice sort of natural shape of the lines. And wipe some of this off. What I'm going to show you now is a little trick I've been working on where I have a severed Space Marine foot here. We're going to make some footprints with it. So we're going to dip them in water. Because if we don't dip them in water, then when we lift the foot up, it kind of rips up the plaster where it was standing. And we're just going to... Okay, let me turn it so you can see it. We're going to stamp some footprints in. Oh, yeah, see the water's already starting to wear off a little bit. So the last couple kind of ripped up the plaster a teensy bit. But now we got some cool little footprints going on here. And I'm just going to get a little bit more spackle. Almost finished with this. And so this is sort of a trick you can use with just about anything. I mean, it doesn't need to just be footprints. You can do it with, well, you can do it with tank treads or vehicle tires or stuff like that, or, you know, whatever the hell you want, you know. You got like an Imperial Sentinel, like a big walker. You could stamp some big footprints from your big mechanical power armor walker thing, or Terminator feet, or dreadnoughts, or, you know, whatever the hell you want. Look pretty snazzy. Alright, well, that's about it.
Back to the window, much lower cost to make it much more feasible to do it.
Well, the statement by Obama was to change the direction of what was originally a Bush administration program. Do you see this any sort of political retaliation, or are there simply practical arguments for canceling the moon mission?
The moon mission didn't have enough funding, nor did it have the right sort of planning, so that it was not actually going anywhere. We're not going to get back to the moon by 2020. The earliest date that was now being talked about was 2028, and it was receding faster than time was going by. So I don't think it was actually going anywhere.
So, okay, so this is, hands down, this is the right move.
It's terribly difficult for NASA, in particular for Johnson Space Center, because they're about to lose the shuttle. The shuttle's coming to the end of its life. They've just lost Constellation, the return to the moon. That leaves them only with the International Space Station as their only serious program. So something like 2/3 of their budget is going to go away. Moreover, there are, I think, 88 astronauts in the office at the moment. And if they're flying with the Russians up to the space station.
Program that was known as Constellation, that was to be used to go back to the moon. This is like a $10 billion sunken investment they're walking away from.
I thought it was a bad idea when it was first proposed, because I didn't think it had sufficient motivation. I didn't think it was going to arouse the kind of popular and political support it needed to actually happen.
So this change in direction, advocated by President Obama, is essentially saying, you know, we're going to put the brakes on manned spacecraft. We're going to put the brakes on putting humans into space, at least for a while.
At least for a while. He is not saying that.
Alright, so the footprints came out nicely through the spray paint. And I'm about to do my next step of painting. Also, when I spray painted this thing, the spray paint didn't suitably seep into the lava rock, so I had to go over it with some black ink I had. This is my Super El Cheapo black ink. It's black acrylic paint I bought at a fabric store years ago, kind of crappy acrylic paint at that. And I squirted about half of it out into the toilet and just poured water in and rinsed it down, so it doesn't spread properly like real black ink. Because real black ink's got this kind of oil in it that causes it to sort of recede from surfaces and sink into crevices. But it does the job, you know, for what I use it for. Alright, next step is complete. Gotta let it dry, and we'll be almost done with it. Alright, so we're back, and on with our next step. I think you all know which color's coming now, and if you don't, you haven't been paying attention. Commando Khaki. So we gotta dry brush this stuff. So this is a process where we get a little bit of paint on our brush, and then basically try and wipe as much of it off without using any water. Get some more on. And so what this does is when you run your brush over the surface, it only paints the most raised surfaces. Alright, observe. So we're going to start dry brushing. Not enough on the brush. I want to give a good example of this before I cut to the next segment. I think my brush is kind of dirty still. It's making my Commando Khaki paint kind of turd colored. Oh, there we go. So this is the kind of stuff that really brings out the detail. It's going to make those footprints really show up. Makes the sand stand out. Alright, so our rock barricade's finished here. I just dry brushed the fuck out of it. Didn't come out quite as evenly as I would have liked, but you can see the footprints here clearly now, leading up to the little sniper's rocks. I dry brushed the rocks with Fortress Gray. Did the same with the usual retinue of colors. So, there we go. Another more modest piece of terrain.